nobody on planet Earth can keep Passover.
Mr. Rood wants you to believe that no one can keep the commandments, including the Passover feast. The idea that the Passover cannot be properly kept by anyone is patently false. We'll expose 9 errors which Michael Rood has made in his teaching on the Passover. Now prepare yourself for a rudimentary enlightenment.
Join me in Costa Rica to find out why.
Shalom, Torah fans. This is Michael Rood, and this is the Passover lamb for this year that we have just selected. We still have over a month before Passover takes place, but what we've looked for is the most blemishless, the most perfect Passover lamb among the flock this year, and this particular male is from a good stock. Everything about this lamb seems to be perfect, and we're going to be washing and grooming this lamb and making sure that it is perfect in every way for this coming Passover. Now, we are all in exile. The temple is destroyed, the Levitical priesthood is in disarray, and nobody really keeps Passover at this time.
This would be a problem if one was under the old covenant. But for those who are under the new covenant, established by Yeshua the Messiah, these things are not necessary. His loyal subjects are gathered into his kingdom, and are not in exile. The temple of Yahweh is his people. The Levitical priesthood has been replaced by the Melchizedekian priesthood. Mr. Rood speaks as if he has never heard of these concepts, which were taught by the Messiah and his emissaries. You can read about this in the following passages: John 11:52, 2 Corinthians 6:16, and Hebrews 7:11-12.
In fact, on the Seder plate of the Orthodox Jews, there is going to be a token of the Passover lamb to remember what we used to do in the temple, but is going to be a cut or broken shank bone of a lamb, and it's going to be there by itself to remind us that there is only one place where Passover is to be kept, and that is the place where Yahweh chooses to put his name. That is Jerusalem.
Throughout the history of Israel, Yahweh has placed his name in many locations besides Jerusalem: Gilgal, Shiloh, Nob, Gibeon, and many others. Placing his name means where he has authorized that offerings may be received on his behalf, and where he may be worshipped on festivals and Sabbaths. The Messiah delegated his authority to the apostles and elders to receive offerings and to determine where official gatherings take place. Our forefathers worshipped on this mountain, yet you say that Jerusalem is the proper place to worship. Yeshua said to her, "Woman, believe me, the time is coming, that neither on this mountain, nor even in Jerusalem, will they worship the Father."
And all of the details that King David put in place that were kept through the succeeding generations were all a shadow picture of the coming Lamb of Yahweh. And so today, no one keeps Passover.
This is a very disjointed statement. First of all, it was not King David who regulated how the Passover was to be kept. That was done by Yahweh. But for argument's sake, how would that now cause anyone to not be able to keep the Passover?
It can only be done in Jerusalem.
Then why doesn't Mr. Rood celebrate his Passover in Jerusalem? Certainly Jerusalem still exists. What is preventing him from fulfilling this commandment? Why does Mr. Rood celebrate the Passover wherever he pleases, when he could do so in Jerusalem? Thousands of Jews celebrate the Passover in Jerusalem every year. This is not a contradiction to what Yeshua said about worship in Jerusalem, which was to say that Jerusalem will not be the one and only place of worship. There is no reason for Rood to say it cannot even be done in Jerusalem.
At this point, it can't even be done in Jerusalem. But what we do now is we celebrate the Passover. So this really isn't the Passover lamb. We are not really going to take the blood of this lamb and put it on the altar.
Where does it say, anywhere in the Torah, that everyone must place the blood of the Passover lambs on the altar? Again, even if it was a requirement, it was a requirement under the Old Covenant, concerning the Levitical priesthood, and the temple service. The only place the Torah explicitly instructs us to place the blood is upon the door lintels of our homes. The Torah does say that no one is authorized to slaughter the lamb within their own gates, something which Michael Rood intends to do. You must not slaughter the Passover within any of your gates, which Yahweh the Almighty gives you.
As a representative of the atoning sacrifice, the sin offering for our personal sins. We're not going to be doing that. I am inviting you to join us in exile in Charlotte, North Carolina for Passover 2011, Passover 6011, and each night we are going to have 50 guests who are going to come into this sumptuous Bedouin style feast with candlelight where we recline around the Passover table, and each night we are going to take you back into the tent of Abraham, as I like to call it.
Abraham never observed the Passover feast, which was established hundreds of years after he died.
And experience this for yourself. We are going to go back to the time of Abraham, when a male lamb with his horns caught in a crown of thorns, a thorny thicket, was the substitute for Abraham's only begotten son through Sarah. We are going to take you to Egypt, the time that we came out of Egypt, and we actually sacrificed the Passover lamb and put the blood on the doorpost and on the lintels. We are going to take you to the Second Temple period, where they continued to do Passover according to all the ordinances and commandments of King David.
King David did not create the ordinances and commandments concerning the Passover feast. These came from Yahweh the Almighty, and were given through Moses to the children of Israel.
But just as they did in the days of Josiah and Hezekiah. And then we are going to take you to how Yeshua fulfilled the Passover. And then all the way to the end, which this is just a rehearsal for the marriage supper of the Lamb. And people have been asking for years, how do we keep the Passover? Now that the temple's destroyed, now that Yeshua, our Passover, was sacrificed for us. And this year we are inviting you to come in. First that call in, first that contact us are going to get the early states on it, and we'll just keep on filling it up. Because we can only do Passover for 350 people this year, but I want to do it in this intimate setting. Just as in the days of Josiah, they had such a great time at Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread that they actually extended it and did it for another week. And it went through the whole thing for another week, that the people were so blessed.
There is no record of any such event in the scriptures. To create new festivals, or to change the times of the festivals, is clearly prohibited in the Torah. Whatever I command you, observe to do it. You shall not add to it, nor take away from it. Michael Rood has given no reason for his choice of location to celebrate the Passover. He contradicts himself when he decides to celebrate the Passover in Charlotte, North Carolina, after teaching that Jerusalem is the only place in the world to observe the Passover. He also has invented facts from his imagination, as if they were true. But worst of all, he has planted the idea that it is not possible for followers of Rabbi Yeshua, the Messiah, to keep a valid Passover feast. All the essential elements of the Passover that do not involve the Levitical priesthood or the temple can be kept in proper order. The disciples of Yeshua are under a new covenant, a new priesthood, and a new authority, where Yahweh has placed his name. Only his true followers will know and teach this reality. May Yahweh bless your understanding. Shalom.